Morning Eat-It, Hollywood Hills, bringing you all the action of what happened this weekend. Once again, decided to get out, get a nice early morning coffee and get some sunshine on myself. Well, an exhausting weekend for myself, but I'll tell you what, an exhausting weekend for a lot of people out there behind the bars. The Impy, the first of the big banger events that I've been covering this weekend. 3 events on the weekend, but we'll start things out with the Impy. A massive entry, a new venue down at Tugela Ferry area, so moving a little bit from last year's race venue, and a much bigger entry. Last year, 400 entries. This year, 625 riders lining up, covering bronze, silver, and the gold categories. Same weekend as Ertsberg, so we lost a couple of the big swingers like Travis Teasdale and a couple of the other guys like Scott Burberry that would have normally made the trip to an event like this. But hey, you can't win them all. So what happened? Big entry, big lineup, new venue, just a very, very cool atmosphere as well. From the guys I spoke to that did the event last year, racing in the bronze and the silver categories, they said it moved up a notch. It was about 25, maybe 30% tougher, longer, so long, hard days in the saddle for the guys, but that's the whole idea of this. It's a tough enduro, it's a hard enduro, and the guys are definitely starting to harden up. Also a new time of year to be running it. Last year it was a little bit later in the year, I think it was October, November time. This time we ran it right in the middle of the year, early weeks of June. It worked out, very good weather-wise. First day on the prologue, to kind of show the guys what kind of terrain they're going to be in for, and then on the evening the wind came howling down that valley. A lot of guys lost their tents, but yeah, there was still a lot of good family atmosphere, good gears, and everyone played the game. Lots and lots of camaraderie working down there. Day 1, obviously the guys had to go out there and do the big loops, and then day 2, that was where we nailed down all of our champions. Look, you know, I always talk about the champs up there, but really for me the story on this one was all the guys just pitching in. 625 riders. I mean, that's the first time I probably don't know everyone's name at a race, so a nice challenge for myself. For the guys that did walk away and get the big win going, Will Slater, the reigning Impy champion, he just kept his blade clean the whole time. On the prologue day, he was fastest. He was the only rider to go under the 1 hour marker, so he held like a really nice advantage going into the first lineup race day. After that, he really just pulled the pin. He seemed to just come to life for the Impy event. Obviously, we did have King Gilbert down there. We had Chris Barnes, Matty Barnes, Luke Walker was down there. You know, there were some really strong players to watch out for. But at the end of the day, there has to be one champ, and this year we named our first 2-time champ, so going on to defend his crown that he picked up last year at the Impy, Slater. We went down there and we caught up with him. This was after the final day of racing to talk about why he is the king of Impy. Only man to be undefeated on day 1, undefeated on day 2, and a pleasure to welcome to Hollywood Hills the first 2-time champ of the Impy, the Slayer, Will Slater. Slayer, I mean, you seem to just come to life at this event. What's the story with that?
It suits me down to the T. I mean, it's hard, it's long, it's hot. I mean, the harder it gets, I enjoy it more. And yeah, it's always so well organized, so well marked. Yeah, I think I come alive here. I just enjoy this area.
Well, last year, obviously, it was the first time working with you. One of the first times I met you, to be honest, as well. And from that, you kind of springboarded. All of a sudden, you became a little bit more factory. Guys were taking notice of you. You had that big number 1 win, which you were desperate for. I saw you were running the numbers last year in the WFOs and everything down in KZN. But from that, all of a sudden, you became a name on the national scene. A little bit of a rough ride this year, you got to say. The nationals have been rough.
Yeah, look, the Nationals haven't gone according to plan. That win at Impy last year, yeah, kind of got me going. And yeah, I think just with my health and a little bit of bike problems and stuff, it hasn't been such a smooth road with the Nationals. But yeah, look, I'm gonna try my best and get up there. Yeah, should be over all the injuries and stuff now, so yeah, hopefully it's all good.
Well, just to tell you how strong this guy was, he beat out big players. I mean, Hayden Lowe was a strong player last year. The Barneses as well, or Chris Barnes, Matty Barnes, incredibly strong riders. Jay Monroe, always good in this kind of terrain. And then we got a couple of factory freshers in as well. This time, Kenny Gilbert lining up as well. You didn't just beat him, you hurt him badly. And for a rider like that, you know, that's going to sting pretty rough. Not just that, but the Impy also had incredibly different terrain. How different was last year's event to this year?
Yeah, look, last year had a lot more intermediate riding. this year it was more in your face because we pretty much located where all the hard riding is. Yeah, it's a little bit of a pity that Kenny didn't ride the same batch as us, because I always like riding with Kenny. I did end up riding today with them, which was awesome.
After you caught him?
Yeah, well, I caught him and then I rode with them. But yeah, glad that more guys are pulling into the event. I mean, yeah, this is kind of like a new event, but yeah, the way things are going, I think it's going to overtake Roof pretty soon.
Well, that's kind of what we're talking about. You know, the number of riders, a massive entry from the bronze, a big entry from the silver, and a lot of key players coming in for gold. One of the heartbreakers for this weekend, obviously, for Slayer here, didn't get to go up against the very best of the very best, and I know that's what you wanted as well. So Oudtshoorn happened this weekend, or is happening tomorrow, so a lot of the big swingers that have enough bucks to go overseas are racing, they're there as well.
Yeah. Look, every year I hope that like more of the factory guys are here. So it is a pity that it did fall on the same weekend as Oudtshoorn, because I'd like my mates Scott and Trav and Wade and all the boys to come ride. They will enjoy it.
You do a lot of training with those guys as well. So.
Yeah, I ride with them a lot. So yeah, we kind of it's always a competition when you're riding, so it'll be good fun.
Yeah, Facebook's great fun. You know, we get to see all these guys time trial training, so it's very cool like that. All right, so Slay, you know, you've had your health issues, had your bike issues, so we're now at the rebound point. You're now on number 1 point again. You're feeling sexy, you're feeling good. What does the rest of the year hold? Obviously, you know, me and you will be rolling down to Port Elizabeth, and it sounds like you're going to be dragging some bars in the sand.
Yeah, no, I'm keen for that. Not used to the sand, but obviously I'll do my homework and I'll put some training in at some sand tracks. Just the goal is just to be consistent, get some solid national points, because that's what I'm pretty much after. And then, like everyone else says, Roof at the end of the year. So, I don't want to make Roof this big pedestal at the end of the year, but it's just another race to me. And last year I got injured at Roof, and unfortunately I DNF'd, and hopefully this year is a different story, hoping for a top 5.
Yeah, so Slayer basically peaked last year at this event, but of course the event ran a little bit later in the year. Now we're right in the middle of the year, so watch the space. Slayer in good form, and your first ever 2-time MP champ. So very cool reactions from the Slayer, and hopefully the rest of his national season and the rest of the events, and of course building up to the Roof, go really well for him. But yeah, just signing off on the MP, Craig Van Heerden and his entire crew did an absolutely banger of a job. It's going to be very exciting to see when we go back to the old venue, the one that we used last year. That's going to be in October, and they're going to cap the entries at 400, and that's very much going to be used as a build-up to the Roof of Africa. All right, what else happened this weekend? Oudtshoorn happened. And unfortunately, our SA boys didn't have the best weekend. You know, Wade Young went into that event as number 1 ranked rider in the Extreme Series, and he just got outclassed at this one. Had a little bit of a battle, couldn't get himself in the right groove, but even on a bad day, Wade Young is a rock solid rider. 4th place, Gomez, it seems like he is in the form of his life in 2017. He goes on to take the big win ahead of Jarvis and Webb, with Wade Young, SA boy, on the Red Bull Factory Sherco, getting himself a nice 4th place. Another cool story was Travis Teasdale, Double T. First time he's been across the pond and got that deal going. Kind of had to fund himself with a bit of corporate sponsorship on this side. So the sponsors know who they are, and they're helping the kid try and climb the ladder. From what was happening in social media to the build-up to the event, it sounded like he was on the latest fuel injection bike and just couldn't get it working. So a lot of the factory boys saying that they can't get the power at the bottom end. So that bike not fully developed yet. Even with that, Double T managed to bag and tag himself at 10th place. And for a guy who doesn't show a lot of emotion sometimes at the races, some nice big cheesy grins coming out of Travis Teasdale. So that's very cool news. The other event that was happening this weekend, of course, was the T-Bone Junior National Enduro. That was held down at Heidelberg. We've got a couple of nice pictures coming in from the guys from Action in Motion, but what we're going to do is we're going to speak to Graham Hedgecock and the guys, and possibly next weekend or the weekend after, when we come back from the desert, we'll do a full review once we've got a little bit more information, more images, so we can go out and then talk about it. It's a bit of a heartbreaker, like I said, that I couldn't be at it. I was at the first double-header down at Cape Town, and that was just an absolute belter of an event. But yeah, there's more to come on the T-Bone Racing, and we'll talk to the guys more about that as we go forward into the rest of the year. What else is coming up then? Whew, if my voice has got anything left in it, I'm taking Strepsils like they are going out of fashion. This weekend, short week for me up here in Joburg with my wife, and then on Thursday morning rolling to the desert. So the Toyota Desert 1000, that is the next big banger for me. It's going to be an absolutely exhausting weekend, but we're good. We're all good. We're going to see the guys in the quads and the bikes to see what they can do. Last year, the desert decided a lot of riders' fate as far as the championship points went, and no doubt this year will be the same. So for now, a little bit of a short Hollywood Hills, but man oh man, my voice is toast after 3 days on the mic down at MP, but I'm buzzed. It was a really, really cool event. I need to catch up on my sleep. I'll see you guys a little bit later, and tune in for next week when we will review the desert and hopefully for some more details coming out of this weekend's T-Bone racing from Heidelberg. For now, see you later.